The river was calm, too calm. Kaelor paused at the bank, before the warning call, before the charge. This is the moment we're painting. Welcome back, time travelers. In this episode, we'll be breathing life into this 1/60th scale Lambeosaurus magnicristatus from the now defunct Shapeways. Most of my builds take months. So today, I'm setting a challenge. One dinosaur, one day, no shortcuts. Welcome to Prehistoric in a Day, where I paint dinosaurs in a day, so I can share more paleo goodness with the ones who still feel awe when they hear the word Cretaceous. As an additional curveball, I've challenged myself to solely hand painting this model, although you've literally just watched me airbrush the base coat. But that's it. Paleo artist promise. The rest of this kit will be done by hand. I started off by laying down this sap green hue, and after quickly examining my kit, I realized that I wanted to push the colors further towards the brown spectrum. And so here I'm using raw sienna just to shift things over a touch. And I'm carefully applying this all the way down to the limbs. Now to further emphasize the counter shading, I'm using a darker brown on the upper portion of this dinosaur. Especially darkening the feet, as this is a common dinosaur pattern, at least from the typical paleo art that we see. To add a little bit of visual flair, I'm painting in the crest in this light purple to begin with. As we know, these crests are often a resonating chamber, but they also serve the purpose of possibly courtship or a way of interspecies recognition. So it's possible these were quite a visual spectacle. I'm using a darker purple along the spine. And one thing I learned here as a new technique is that by dabbing my paintbrush onto the surface of my kit, I can recreate a similar modeling pattern that I love doing with the airbrush. And some of you might already know that if you've been following some of my previous videos. And if you're interested in seeing an example of that, then click on the video above to see how I use the modeling pattern on an X Plus Jurassic Park model kit. Here I'm just adding further detail, adding a little bit more of the raw sienna along the neck, a bit of that modeling pattern along the tail. At the beginning of this challenge, I really wasn't sure how this paint job would turn out, but I'm kind of starting to like it. By this point, the overall pattern has been set, and I'm just adding a lot more weathering. Without this weathering, I felt that the overall kit looked a little cartoonish. Nothing against Ducky from The Land Before Time, but that's not exactly what we're going for here. I also wanted to emphasize the brow with a darker color, but as you'll see later, I regret the decision and take it back. But by this point, for the ones who are actually following my channel, you already know that's par for the course. And so here I am using white to erase that darker coloration along the brow, pretending like that mistake never happened. Thank goodness for the color white, or everybody would be aware of just how many mistakes I actually make for every paint job. By this point, I felt that this particular Lambeosaurus magnicristatus, which is the alpha male of the group, lacked a bit more visual flair, so I added some white stripes behind the forelimbs and added a few more little dots and splotches of white along the belly. We're just adding a bit more weathering as the white looked a little too clean, and for an actual hadrosaur to be exploring its environment and walking through ferns, dirt, and mud, it needed to be a little bit more dirty. Painting such small eyes on this kit was somewhat challenging, but luckily I've had extensive experience in paleoophthalmology. Morning mist drifted above the slow-moving river as Kaelor led his pack along its muddy banks. A faint scent threaded through damp air, metallic, sharp. Wrong. The others did not react. No heads lifted, no alarm calls sounded, but Kaelor's nostrils flared. His muscles tightened beneath scarred hide. He sensed something. In the distance,